Peace, family. So I'm going to get up close and personal because I was just rushed over to the cards and Spirit said specifically to do a Kemetic reading. So we are tapping in happy full moon, supermoon in Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius rising. I am feeling it to such a extensive alignment that my breath is actually belabored. So I hope that I can get through this, but clearly there's a message. And I'm giving thanks first and foremost to the Creator, to our ancestors, to our starseed family, for this alignment, for this ability, for this ascension, this awareness, as I tap into the energy of the collective, and those cards just tossed right off the table because the energy is wow. 2 of them. Foundation information. Give thanks to the Neteru. Oh, Nut and Sobek. Nut, our sky goddess, tapping into understanding, the number 4, the number of solid foundations. The incredible thing when we tap into Mother Nature, Mother Earth in a general scheme of things, but then we tap into Kemet and we are reminded that the energy of the earth is actually Geb, is actually the divine masculine, and the sky, the stars, the planets that are in alignment, what we are tapping into, the moon, is divine feminine, the stars, the constellations in a general understanding. In Kemetic philosophy is that Nut is the divine feminine, is the sky goddess. We tap into the mother and the father of Osar and Aset, Ashe, foundation. Gives you more to think about in terms of androgyny, in terms of the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine when we tap into the netters, the forces of nature in that way, the same way we tap into the Orisha as the forces of nature, and the androgyny that is very much in alignment in and across all of those fronts. And then we tap into Mother Nature and we tap into the seeds that are planted and then the fruition and how it all interconnects to bring us into alignment with balance and tapping in to our divine masculine and our divine feminine energy and the understanding of that, the balance in that. Number 4 as well being a solid foundation and doubling up the number 2 to bring in that 4. Then we've got Sobek, union and power. Totally just confirming everything that I said because of the union between divine masculine and divine feminine. This is what we have to understand and understand as we're going through all of the transitions that are happening on the planet right now. The key is balance. The key is harmony. The key is peace and being at peace with ourselves. Being at peace with the different complexities that compose. We think about the Ankh. This is why they wanted me to do a Kemetic reading. This is why, because Nut had to come through to bring in the alignment of Geb, which you don't see them without each other, even though this is Nut's card, right? It is what it is. You see them in tandem. You see the above, as above, the so below. That is exactly what this is about. When we tap in to the Ankh, we tap into the frequency of life, and that in some modern philosophies and religions, they've removed the divine feminine altogether, right? It's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Where's the divine feminine? When we go back to Kemet and we go back to life, you can't have it without the divine feminine. You've got the womb, you've got the fallopian tubes, and then you have the phallus. So it very much highlights the importance of the divine feminine coming into union and power with the divine masculine, to therefore bring life, to bring it forth. So beautiful, Sobek. So let's tap in, connect with Nut and Sobek, do some Google searches, whatever it is, get the message that they have for you, give thanks. Let's get some clarification with some tarot. This Egyptian tarot deck, give thanks. Would you like to clarify these energies for us, dear Spirit? Thank you. One so far. Let's see if we got another one. Oh, that one's stuck in the hand. Let's go with these 2. And you see 2 and 2 so far, bringing in the alignment of this balance of the divine masculine, divine feminine. And then again, our 4 repeating here as well. We've got a 5 and a 6, nice augmenting energy that we have going on. We've got the 5 of Wands and we have the 6 of Cups. Now this is right away an energy of thinking about conflict and communication and clearing things in the air. We have Venus in retrograde right now in Leo, tapping in during Leo season, bringing in the alignment of our will, the alignment of our solar plexus energy, and what it is that we're choosing to do with our self-love, with how we treat others, how we expect and hope to be treated, karma, all of these things. So when we tap into the Five of Wands, which brings in a notion of conflict, that brings in training, is the really way that I see it, especially when we're thinking about this particular reading and what Spirit wants us to know, and why I feel it was so urgent, and why specifically a Kemetic reading, is because of this imbalance that's happening right now. It's because of a lot of preferences that we're making, declarations that we're making in regards to gender, in regards to, you know, the powers that be, in regards to nature versus nurture, all of these things, that we're really missing the point. And we are definitely coming outside of the natural order of things and doing too much. Like, there's a whole lot of doing too much right now that we all have to be a little bit more mindful about. That is a lack of temperance, a lack of moderation. It's kind of extremes, right? It's this, or it's got to be this. It's like, well, what happened to this whole spectrum in between? That if we're talking about being so many things being on a spectrum, why are there so many extremes through that same argument, right? That's the hypocrisy of it all. So when we think about what we're being trained for right now, it's also for compassion. It's also to be able to allow people to express their opinions, express their preferences, have an actual dialogue, and then come to some type of semblance of understanding in regards to this nature versus nurture. And then we augment to the Six of Cups, and that brings in nostalgia. To me, this is aligning with tradition. When I think about kind of the way things were, in a sense, you know, again, nature and the things in the natural order of things, there's a lot of conversation in regards to real versus fake, right? Or organic versus inorganic. And, you know, I won't go into all of the logistics, but those who know, you know what I'm talking about on all of the levels that is relevant. But in regards to that, when we think about tradition, when we think about ancestral alchemy and the way things were, and a lot that, when my whole point of back to natural is literally just that, to go back to the natural source of things, to the source of things, and have some type of reverence and some type of honor for that. Sankofa, to go back so that we can know the way forward. We're losing sight of the tradition. We're losing sight of nature. We're losing sight of the way things were. And it doesn't mean that things aren't supposed to evolve and grow and become something more, but you can't evolve and you can't become more if you don't know what started. If you just see something growing out of the ground, you have to wait and guess what's going to come to fruition if you don't know what seed that was, right? And we're doing so much tampering right now in regards to nature, and really not taking care of nature in that general sense as well, that even when we do know what seed we planted, we can't be 100% sure that this thing is going to grow naturally anymore, because there's just so much poking and prodding happening in more ways than one. So this Five of Wands and the Six of Cups is really, you know, bringing in an alignment of what it is that we are being trained for, so that we can maneuver this brave new world, this I don't know what new world that is leading us to the new earth. Ultimately, like we say, it's darkest before dawn. Things are going to get a lot crazier. We're dealing with 2 full moons in the month of August during Lionsgate energy coming off of Sirius Gateway. Like, shit is hot right now in more ways than one. Heat waves, right? We have the record-breaking heat, and they're talking about with the climate change and all of the things. Believe everything and nothing with all of the things, but it's all part of the training. Pay attention to what it is that we are being shown. Pay attention to the distractions, right? Pay attention to all of the ins and outs of it, so that you can stir it in the pot and really figure out what resonates with you, what resonates with your soul, what resonates with your emotions. And tapping into the Cups energy, you have to feel things. I say feel it to heal it, right? You have to really take things inward and say, how do I feel? What do I think about this? But at the same time, not making things factual just because of how you feel. And a lot of what's going on from my perspective of decisions that are being made on governmental levels are based on feelings and opinions. And why is that okay now? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot that, again, is part of the training that we have to pay attention to figure out what it means for us, so that we can claim our soul sovereignty. And if you get to change all kinds of laws based on how you feel, well, guess what? This is what I feel. And as a result, I'm going to make my own laws. and I align with the universal laws. Ashe? So bring that inward in regards to the feelings. Be truthful, be honest with yourself. You don't have to always tell people how you feel, but just be true to yourself so that even if they ask, at least you don't feel like you have to shrink back, that you can stand firm in where you stand, because they sure are, right? Across the board. Nobody has a problem standing up for themselves. They only have a problem with someone standing up against them. You get to do it too. If it's good for them, it's good for you. Ashe? So tap into that energy, especially in regards to the emotions, because I always say, if it feels good, it's good. If it feels bad, it's bad. And our intuition, our Ori always tells us, always shows us, and we're just often kind of second guessing ourselves or talking ourselves out of it because we're not as tapped into our emotions and our intuition, because we're constantly on guard and ready to fight and holding up a weapon or in some type of training camp. You know what I'm saying? That's like preparing us for war, because yes, we are in a spiritual war that is, figurative, literal. It's not even just spiritual anymore, right? But we have to pay attention to how it's affecting us on a tangible and intangible level, because that's where they actually want to do the most harm, is on the intangibles, is in regards to our spirit, in regards to the toll on our soul. So free yourself from that. Clear your heart from that. Ashe. Give thanks, Spirit. Tapping in for some confirmation for the collective in regards to this message that you have for us. The importance of this balancing. We have to balance our energies. Give thanks, Spirit. What would you have us know to confirm these energies? Thank you. 2 again. You saw that, right? They choose the cards. 2 again. Okay. We've got scrying, 34, true future. So when we think about scrying, that's when you hold like a crystal ball and you'll look into it, see different images or whatever may come. To each his own. I do, but to each his own. When you align in that way and you can see through the clarity of something and get something that much more crystal clear, that shows you an example, an indication of what's to come. People use these crystal balls to tell the future, to see into the future. So you, in regards to any specific tool that you may use that is in alignment with your spiritual journey, look into it. You yourself are a spiritual tool. You are a divinatory tool. Look into yourself. Do that mirror work. Speak to your soul through the eyes. Look at yourself in the mirror, in your eyes, the windows to the soul, and speak to yourself. I was just talking about the toll on the soul. Talk to your soul and see what your future soul needs. What do I have to do to reach where it is that we know we're supposed to be, that you know we're supposed to be? And in some regards, we're exactly where we're supposed to be. Ashe, timing is divine. But ultimately, we do have aspiration. And the aspiration is to be somewhere more, somewhere else, somewhere better and bigger and brighter. Just in regards to the world, I don't think any of us that are organic beings are okay with the state of the world right now. So naturally, we are manifesting better. That is that future. That is what we can look into that crystal ball, look into our own soul and recognize the toll on our soul and figure out what it is that we need to do to achieve that future. That is the message that's coming through very clearly with that. 34, bringing in the energy of the number 7, which our month just passed, right? 7 into the 8 right now. We just started our day 1 of August of the 8th month, bringing in that infinite abundance coming from that number of self-mastery. Ashe. Sarcophagus, initiation, 31. My favorite word is initiation. I call this word one of my 1111 words because there are 4 eyes in initiation. Do you see that? Do you see that? Those 4 eyes represent 1111 for me. And when we think about initiation, we think about walking through a portal, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is exactly what all of this energy is about, from Sirius Star Gateway going into now our Lion's Gate. It is a portal that we are walking through, and it is time for us to claim that initiation and claim that we have surpassed it, that we have been there, that we are there, that we have achieved it, and know that from that next step, from that door now open and we're in this new world, that is where the more begins. That is where life begins. So claim your initiation, speak to your soul, and decide today the new life that you want to walk into. Ashe? Give thanks, Spirit. Give thanks to you. Until the next time, lest we forget, time to get back to natural. Peace.